Hello my friends, welcome to another Money Management Monday. So a lot of times when I'm getting discouraged, when I'm feeling like I'm not making the progress that I want to, I typically try to read or watch or learn of people that I have tried to learn more about these people and be in those similar circumstances that kind of give me hope, inspiration. I'm careful with those wording because I'm like, my hope is built on, okay, but some of you will understand why I'm hesitant to say that. But they do, they inspire me and they kind of motivate me to move forward. One of those things is during the time when I was working really hard to pay off the house. I think I have kind of basically given a more broad view of what that looked like. I spent several years really just not eating the greatest. Honestly, I remember like hamburger pack mixes that I was getting for 50 cents. Just a lot of stuff that just wasn't very healthy for us that I can't do today. But all of that to say, like, I did some extreme things just to make sure that every quarter was going towards that house. And, you know, we had less kids then. And my husband and I were kind of moving along that route of trying to pay it off quickly. Up here, we don't kind of have that same drive. He's kind of more, let's save, we don't know what the future's going to hold. And I'm like, let's get everything paid off that we can so that, you know, if something happens, we're not scrambling to try to come up with money. I'm kind of thinking, again, I know I've mentioned this before, but like during the Depression when mortgages were being called in and nobody had the cash or the cash wasn't enough to pay the mortgages off. And so I figured, hey, we're gonna have enough trouble just coming up with taxes if the economy collapsed. Let's have no payments whatsoever other than basic bills. And so we have these two different conflicts, and so it kind of gets a little discouraging, and it's a lot of work to keep maintaining this. I mean, my eldest was 5 or 6 at the time, and my youngest, I think I had started before I was pregnant with my 4th, and so my youngest would have been, you know, months old. And when I started that, paying off the house, it took 2 years, and I've been like just really going through mud, and it's only been a year. It's only been 6 months, I think, since I've really started dedicating to continue forward in that. But there is a significant part of me that is just like, I don't have that energy that I had when I had younger kids. And it was easier to be like, well, we don't need all this other stuff. And need is kind of, you know, do we really need piano lessons? Do we really need other things, okay? But as I get older, you start looking at things differently. You start thinking, okay, this is an investment. Ballet lessons haven't happened. Why? Because I prefer to invest in the piano lessons. Okay, so all of that to say, I'm getting a little bit rambly here, but I'm I'm trying to set the stage. Our circumstances are different now, and trying to go back into this is just a little bit harder. Go with the youngest that I had at the time. He just turned 9 years old. So this is 9 years ago. I was 23 at the time. Significant difference in energy. Why is like 10 years such a difference? I don't know, but it really is. And so I was up at 5 a.m. every day, and I worked with my one job. I kept the kids alive, and in the evenings I was back in school. I did college, and because I was a woman going back to college, there was a stipend given, and I considered it my job, and I had to work to keep my A's up so that I kept the grants coming in and the scholarships. I don't remember all that it worked, but I made sure that I worked to keep those up so that I had that money that wasn't used for books to go onto the house. It was supposed to be used for rent anyway, or help with babysitting. Yeah, it went towards the house, our rent. But I was working on about 5 hours of sleep. There is no way I could do that now. But so our circumstances have changed. And that was a lot of work. Well, now my lot of work is kind of looking at things in a long-term perspective. So yes, I really want to pay off this house. And I've talked about that. And I've talked about our money management, okay? So there's different things. And especially as my husband and I are talking about what the future is going to look like after he's finished school, and if we really want to do another townhouse again, or if we want to get some land, like if we want to make this a possibility, like what that's going to look like, what our country may look like in the next 4 years, what all of these other factors. And it's like, you know, in order to make from step to step to step, I need to get these in place. And that's kind of where I sit down and start struggling, okay? And maybe you do too. Maybe you're like, I don't know of anything else I can do. So what do we need to do? What do we need to sit down and do? Honestly, I was trying to think of something that works across the board. But because I'm such a detailed person, that was something really hard for me to come up with. What I have sat down and told one person is completely different for the other. So, it was really hard to come up with, but I think I have 3 things that we can do to stay motivated, to keep going with our goals and trying to maintain these things, to put money into savings, to whatever it is. And I think I've come up with 3 that regardless of circumstances or anything, that you can do this. So here they are. And this is something that I'm going to start applying into my life as well. All right, so without further ado, let's start with number 1. And that is cut back the expenses you can have control over. Before you turn off the video, please hear me out. Anytime somebody says that, like, let's start evaluating our expenses, turn off all the lights in the house before you leave a room so that your electricity goes down. Don't buy that extra bag of potato chips because all these little things add up. Don't buy the coffee because all those things. Okay, I have been in the position where I was looking for all of these things thinking, surely there is something, and everything everybody was telling me, cut out cable, cut out this, cut out that, turn off lights, do your electricity at this time or that time, and all of these things. I was thinking, I'm already doing that. What else can I do? A friend of mine that actually, I have probably some of my closest friends have these strengths that I really, really, I'm not going to say envy, that's a sin we shouldn't do, but I really admire. And I do not have those qualities, but I strive to become more like them in that respect. It's their strengths and it's my weakness, and I'm trying to grow in strength. And I watch them, and they're just the kind of people that are like, I have a grocery list and this is the amount of money I'm going to spend and I'm not going to go a penny over that, and they do. I'm at the store and I'm like, oh, I forgot I was going to do that. So let me add that to the cart. And, well, I probably should have something on hand for my husband to eat so that he doesn't eat my ingredients. So let's do this. And then suddenly I have $25 more in my cart than what I had started out planning to purchase. Or they're just like, this is all that I need. I don't need anything else. And they don't buy it. They just don't. I don't think like that. I'm not a, I want it, I have to have it. I just don't think. It's not a very good quality to have, by the way. They're like that, and they're amazing. So how would somebody like that cut back on expenses that they have control over? My one friend back in California, I remember one time that she had wanted a purse. It was a very expensive purse, but it was a good quality one, and she wanted to do that. So her thinking was, you know what, if we had just cut milk out one meal for a couple of weeks, I could do this. And there was just different things that she would just think simple little things like that. And it wouldn't affect like a whole thing. It would just do this little thing. And then she would control the expenses that she was putting out in effort to put money towards this thing that she wanted. And we all do that in a certain extent. We can't say, okay, we're not going to have milk this week, especially if you have the mindset of like milk is good for the bones. Everybody needs the calcium and magnesium that milk gives and all these other things. And I'm just using milk, okay? It can be organic chicken for all I know. I'm saying that maybe for 1 week, instead of the organic chicken, I don't think it'll kill you for 1 week to get the non-organic chicken. I don't think for 1 week choosing the off-brand of laundry detergent is going to affect you. There are exceptions to this, absolutely. If it's something that your husband is like, no, this is what we're going to do it, then you do it. But if you have something that you're more partial to and could take an off-brand for, or something else for, okay, this is shopping, then just do it. For me, I'm thinking, okay, how about for a week I don't buy my half and half, or even a month. I don't buy the half and half for my coffee. I don't buy coffee, and I don't buy my stevia drops. That alone is going to save at least $10, $20 a month. Let's think about some other things. Let's think about the gas that I do on my car. If I'm like, I'm going to figure out a way where I'm not going to use that car only for Sunday for 1 week. I can do it for 1 week. Where just after church, we'll go to the grocery store and we'll do it then. I hate doing that, y'all. I really hate it. But if there is a purpose for it, why not? I could control those types of things. Use that money that I would have budgeted for our detergent and put that towards the house. There's all those things that I do have control over. And I can take the money that I would have spent it. So I'll take it and I'll put it towards that. So the budget money is still going towards you. It's not just sitting in the bank. You take that money, but then you move it to where you need to. If it, personally for us, if it just sits in that bank account, it doesn't get purposed. It just accumulates until it gets spent in some way or another, not to the purposeful thing of how that is. All that to say, go back to number 1, cut the expenses that you control over. Do you have a clothing budget? You guys figure out what you really, really need. Shop at secondhand. Trust me, the number 1 thing you find in thrift stores is secondhand clothing. Number 1 thing. It's rows and rows and rows of it. See what you can do to purchase your things secondhand. There are exceptions, but see what you can do, and then take the budget, put it towards a long-term goal that's going to help you get there closer. Okay, the number 2 thing that I think that everybody could do, regardless of how you're structured, of how your home is structured, this may not work if it's just you two, but it may. You don't know. I don't know. You find out. But that would be a communal effort. Bigger results happen with communal effort. There's a proverbs about that, like 2 are better than 1, for the second one can lift the first one up, if he stumbles. That's a very poor paraphrase. If you want to look it up, look this verse up. But the idea is more that help and are going towards the same thing, the more of you that are working together towards this, like the more effort you have. Like our homestead jar. There's over $100 in here. It was started only a month and a half, 2 months ago. And it genuinely is not anything pulled from the bank to put into there. It's any little bits that us communally can work together to put in. There's actually an Amish idea, for lack of a better word. The Amish send their children to work out. The Amish send their children out to work, but the money that comes in is a communal thing. Now, I have some issues with that. I'm not going to go into too many details on that, mainly because I don't know a whole lot about it. I do know a little bit about it, but I have some qualms about that. But what does work in that benefit is, again, this communal effort that we are one family. We are all working together towards a goal, and we are going in that direction together. And it's a very biblical aspect. Think about our spiritual journey. Like, we all need to be working spiritually towards the cross. You don't want half of your family going over here and half the family going over here. You are a stronger family when all of you are heading on that narrow path to the cross. Likewise, as a family unit, all of you working together towards one goal is also going to help you get on that path and going together. That's something that I have now that I didn't have those years ago when I was trying to pay off the house. And I talk about paying off the house. And that aspect, it was a community relationship working together. People knew that I was doing this, and they gave me opportunities to work towards that goal. But now here I have a family unit that we're all working towards, We all have this goal. We all have a reminder of what we are working towards, and we're doing it to the best of our abilities. So, insofar as possible, get your kids on board. Get those around you on board. If you are a youngster, if you're a teen working on this, and you have maybe goals to go to college, to buy a car, whatever it is, get your family on board. Like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Does anybody want to kind of get me going in that direction? Communal efforts are so strengthening, not just getting you towards your goals, but building your character. So that would be the other thing that I would suggest. You might be thinking, how is that going to work? Hey, when everybody is on board, suddenly all those things that you think you need, you don't need. Which leads me into point number 3, reevaluate your needs. I can't tell you how many times I've done this where I think we need something. Let's do something simple as a pair of shoes, okay? I thought my daughter really needed the shoes, but she needed them this weekend. Why? Well, because it's beginning summer and it's getting hotter, and we need something that's going to withstand this mud and blah, 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 blah. We need it this weekend. I didn't get that weekend accomplished. There was a lot going on that weekend, and it just didn't get accomplished. Interestingly enough, just by holding it off a week or two, might have been more closer to 2 weeks, we ended up being gifted a pair of shoes that somebody had outgrown. Same thing I needed. Again, need was there, but it was on a different time schedule than what I thought we needed. There's other things similar to that. Maybe a need would be to restock my pantry. Hey, we're going into other seasons now. It's time to clean out the pantry and restock the pantry. I'm anal about that. I know some people don't understand, but again, being in the desert where food goes rancid and old so fast, I'm just like, hey, you get 3 months and then we need to rotate it. That's just how I am. And it's worked. I hate food waste. I hate it so much. And this system has just worked for me. And once I'm in my routine, like, I can get a good routine, but dang, it takes me a long time to get into that routine. Slow learner. But anyway, all that to say, I can push that need back to, instead of 3 months, let's do it 4 months. Really, is there a need? And by doing that, maybe other opportunities will present itself of what would have worked out better. And here's the big thing with that. Reevaluating your needs is not something that you just sit down with your budget, with your list, and assess in one sitting. It doesn't happen in one sitting. It happens with prayer, with conversations, other perspectives coming in, things that you thought you need, suddenly you're realizing it's actually not, it's not a pressing need. It might be a need, but it's not a pressing need right now. All of these things. It's going to take time. And how much does all of this work together? Think about it. Reassessing your needs in a communal effort to cut back wherever you can. They all work together. Especially with that communal need. You have, or that community mindset and effort with all of you involved. Some of you will be like, well, we don't need this. Hey, if we do this, this, and this, then this is accomplished. Hey, it works. hey, Mom, do we really need to buy this week? Because I think if we go and just repurpose this thing, whatever it is, in the fridge, in the freezer, in the pantry, in the laundry, if whatever, I think we'll be okay. Hey, Mom, all of these things start fitting together a lot better. And again, when you're working towards that, your whole mindset changes. We are conditioned from the second we're born for a consumer mindset. Yeah, the second we're born. Maybe not through us personally, but it's through our parents. You need a high chair, a boppy, a nursing pillow, a bumbo seat, a stroller, this many clothes, these kinds of diapers, lotion, body bath, bathtub. I mean, from the second we're born, we're bombarded with a consumer world. So it's time to, again, to bring that community aspect back into this in everything we do. Everything. And it's time to see how we can help our families and be good stewards of our home and finances. That's our task. That's what God has given us women to do for our husbands and for our home. It's to use those tools that He has given us to help our families and to raise up a generation that can do just that. All right, y'all, I'm going to end this video here, and I hope it was helpful and useful to you. Thank you so much for watching. The playlist is always linked down below, so you can check out the other videos that I have done in this, and I will see you next week. Don't forget, if you guys have thoughts or comments or things to address, please leave it down there below. And I'll see you next week for another Money Management Monday. Bye.